Here's an example of what you can do with the inked drawing. I took that Filmsy, put it in the Xerox machine, and Xeroxed it onto heavyweight cardstock. I then took my inexpensive travel watercolor set and just added some simple tones. And then I added some graphic quality where I enhanced the thickness of certain lines to separate objects from the space behind them. And that enhances the depth quality. And that was on top of the watercolor when I was all finished. So I think that makes for a nice illustration. In this exercise, we will be drawing the sketch. And what you will learn is how to place an object in the center of a space, and then how to align objects through their centers. Okay, the first step for this sketch is, of course, to draw in the horizon line, and we've done this numerous times. If you haven't done it, you need to go back and watch previous lessons on two-point perspective. Okay, we have a horizon line, we have a true height corner, and we can draw our ground lines and our ceiling lines. Then the next step would be to draw the windows, because I want to center the table off the two windows. I could center it off the entire wall, but what if my room is big and I really just want them centered off the windows? So what we would do first is find the center of the window. In the center of the window, we just put an X in the box, and there's the center. Same thing over here. An X in the box, and there's the center. Then we need to just pull a vertical right through that center point from floor to ceiling. And do the same thing over here. Then from the two ceiling points, go from vanishing out across the floor. Vanishing across the floor. Where those two meet is the center then of where our table would be placed. We've taken that all the way straight up, and then through the top of this centering line, from right vanishing out across the ceiling, that is where the hanging lamp would hit the ceiling. All right, let's then work with the table. I know that a dining table is about 30 inches off the ground, so I can go back to this true height corner, go up to 30 inches, come from left vanishing out across the wall to where it hits this centering line on the wall, and then go from the other vanishing point out into the middle of the room where that height line crosses the center of my table. Put a dot. That is the center of the ellipse for the table. And I'm going 4 squares wide on each side of center for my ellipse. And then I will go about a little bit more than 1 for the minor axis of the ellipse. So let's go ahead and draw a nice rounded, no points ellipse in there. For the tabletop, come down a little bit, run a second line because the table might have an apron or some kind of thickness in there. Okay, there's a round table in the center of the two windows. How about the base? The base of the table again would be a rounded base. I'll go 2 wide on each side. I'll go maybe one wide there. And this ring here, all this will do is tell us where the feet will go. I want a pedestal table, and I want it to be traditional in style, like an antique, and I want some feet in here. So if I do some styling, and I want the feet to touch at these points. So I'm going to come down and do this, and come down and do this, and this, and this. And then I can give it some thickness in there, maybe even more thickness. Okay, the lamp, the pendant lamp hanging above the center of the table, I want it to hang at 5 foot 6 inches. So I go up to that on the true horizon line. I go and I want to pull the line out across this wall. So when all these other lines went to the left vanishing point, this one needs to also. So I come out from there, I go to this centering height line, then I switch vanishing points and go across to my centering line, put a dot. Then I have a hanging lamp that is like a bowl shape, so I will run a horizontal ellipse. So if I go over 2 and over 2, and I'm very close to the horizon line, so it's going to be narrow. And don't mind that you're overlapping things in the background. It looks good that way. And I might have a lamp inside here. That still might even be too wide. Okay, then at the ceiling, there's going to be a small trim plate. And out of the center of that, draw that a little nicer, a horizontal ellipse, a trim plate, and then the chain would come out of that. Okay, oh, then we need a vase in the center of the table. Well, I know that the ellipse is there. And how high do I want it? Probably about right here. Probably not too wide. And I know that there would also be an ellipse in there. And we would have flowers, and flowers might go from one side and lean against the edge and out on the sides here. And what kind of flowers do you want? Just give a hint of what the flowers are. These are gladiolas. How do you know that? Well, because they're tall. They get smaller at the top, bigger at the bottom. Maybe I have a few roses in here too. It really doesn't matter. You're sketching. You're trying to make it look alive and nice. So there's the beginning of a really nice, simple drawing. Now what you can add is the window thicknesses in here. You can add window trim. You can add base molding. You can add crown molding. You could add a wainscoting. How about something outside the windows? Let's say we're on a lake and we have mountains out there. Let's say we have a tree. Maybe out there. Maybe there's a boat out on the water. Okay, and water would be darker in the back and get lighter as it comes forward. Mountains over here. I think that's good. That is a wonderful little sketch. So the next step would be to ink the sketch in pen. Something like this. Only draw the lines that you really need. I put it in area rug, and notice how free and easy my fringe is. Everybody knows that that's fringe. It doesn't need to be perfect. Get over the fact that it would need to be perfect. Once you Xerox this, you can Xerox this onto cardstock, a heavy cardstock, and watercolor it very lightly, not with a lot of water, but that would make a lovely drawing. Oh, and one more thing when you're done. Don't forget to sign it.